So my topic is from Nazi Germany, basically from 1933 to 1945, and I'll be covering the different aspects of daily life in Germany. So the first thing that I want to cover is the repression that Germany went through, and this was a harsh time for a lot of families. A lot of children died from malnutrition and other diseases that came with hunger. Those working in blue-collar jobs were unemployed or just sat idled in their own job. And then white-collar workers still had high employment but still struggled from day to day. And the Whitmark government played a big part in this. During 1933, Heinrich Brunwing became the Chancellor of Germany, and his main focus was more on the budget and the inflation happening in Germany instead of the unemployment that they were facing. And due to this, he raised taxes to try and help with the deficits in the budget. But in turn, he ended up failing a lot of the people in Germany because this led to an increase in unemployment. So, working towards the mid to upper 30s in Germany, a lot of big businesses had a lot of success, and these were called monopolies in Germany, and they ended up controlling around 70% of the production in Germany, and this led to the Nazi promise, and this kind of ended up leading into Hitler's power. One part that did struggle in the industry was small businesses, and during this time, around 20% of them did have to close. For industrial workers, there were basically three groups that played a key part in them. The first being the German Labor Front, and basically this replaced the trade unions, and this group were controlled by Nazis who set wages. And then the two other groups were more focused on improving work conditions and trying to get people to work. So the first group was the Strength Through Joy, which basically gave rewards to people who were working. And then the second group were the Beauty of Labor, and they basically worked to encourage people to get a job and continue to work in that job. And they also worked to try and improve work conditions, because during this time it was still harsh for workers. So one key important part of Nazi Germany was the youth and Hitler's focus on them. So there were a lot of changes made to the education system. The first being the focus of obedience in the youth, and basically them not being allowed to ask questions. And then basically in school there was a basis of sports, history, and science, and this was more on the radical side of thinking and, again, not asking questions. And then the Nazi Party basically made up all the teachers, and Jews were no longer allowed to teach. So there were basically two groups that made up the youth, the Hitler Youth, or the HJ, which were boys from ages 10 to 8. And again, the focus of physical ability was instilled in them, and a lot of their coursework was made up of just sports and military training. And then the second group was the League of German Girls, and again, focus on physical activities, but for them, they were more focused on fulfilling this ideal German woman image and had chores from day to day. So other everyday aspects that were changed in Nazi Germany was religion, and basically the Christianity and Nazism weren't very compatible, so there was a little hatred towards both of those groups, but in the end there wasn't a lot of hostility that did occur in Nazi Germany. The second aspect was media, and most people do know about the big role that propaganda did play in Nazi Germany, and this was basically through radio, film, and speeches that were given. And one way that the Nazi Germany and Hitler instilled this into daily life were making radios cheaper so that everyone could have one in their home and listen to the broadcast. The third part that was changed was culture, the first being literature, and basically burning any books or libraries that were focused around Jewish writers or anything of the sort. The second part was music, and basically, again, promoting Aryan composers and degrading anyone who sang jazz, swing, or any Jewish composers. The third part was art, and during this time there was a large focus on photography and landscapes, and anything that had to do with modern styles or anything with modern was degraded in Germany. And the last part were for Jewish and other minority groups in Germany. The first part of Nazi Germany was basically just discrimination towards these groups, and then later it moved into ghettos where they were forced to wear armbands that indicated what kind of group they were in. And in these ghettos, it was very crowded with not the best conditions for those living in it. Many people ended up not spending a lot of time in the ghettos due to them being moved to the concentration camps where millions died. If they did survive the first portion of concentration camps, they were forced to wear color-coded triangles that indicated what group they were from, and many were forced into labor and faced harsh conditions. These harsh conditions led to the death of even more Jews and other minorities, and many of the deaths were due to starvation and being overworked. And then this is just my works cited.